Hello. For our presentation, we decided to investigate the effects of gamified working memory training on transfer.
Start with the introduction. Working memory allows us to store and manipulate information over a short period of times. Improving working memory through the targeted training could have widespread benefits. Introducing game-like element into the training task can increase motivation and engagement. The Brain Game Center has developed a working memory training game that follows the principle of good game designs. A study was conducted in which gamified working memory training was compared to non-gamified working memory training and an active control group. So we want to investigate which working memory training is optimal to see transfer. Our primary hypothesis was that working memory training will show more transfer than a control training group, and the secondary hypothesis was that the gamification of working memory training will result in a larger impact on the transfer effect. There were a total 196 participants, and there were 63 of the control group and 133 of the active group, and they were split among the gamified group, which is an impact group, and a non-gamified group, which is an TAPAC group. Both active and control group completed 3 days of pre-test, followed by 10 days of training, and finally 3 days of post-test.
And so going into each task, this is for the 16-day training period. The tap back is the non-gamified version. So you will just see a plain circle as you see on here, and there'll be different colors. And so depending on your end value, so for this example 2, you will have different colored circles. And so for example, if it was blue, yellow, blue, you would tap on the second blue because it is 2 back from the original blue. Similarly, in this gamified version, you play a little astronaut, and as you move through this world, you see different little floral gems. And similarly, if you have the same pattern, then you would tap on it depending on your end value back. Finally, Knowledge Builders looks at different knowledge-based questions, of course, and this is what the active control group did. Going into working memory transfer, we have running span tasks, letter number tasks, Corsi simple and Corsi complex, and near transfer. And these are for the working memory transfer effects. And then finally, for inhibitory control and abstract problem solving, we have matrix reasoning, dogs and monkeys, and the cancellation task.
So when looking at the data, we decided to do a repeated ANOVA based off of the groups and their time between pre and post. Any p-value less than 0.05 resulted in statistical significance. For running span, we had an f-value of 0.058 and a p-value of 0.944. Letter number had an f-value of 1.605 and a p-value of 0.204. Near transfer had an f-value of 26.251 and a p-value less than 0.001. Corsi simple had an f-value of 0.772 and a p-value of 0.463. Corsi complex had an f-value of 0.181 and a p-value of 0.835. For matrix reasoning, the f-value was 0.379, p-value 0.685, dogs and monkeys had an f-value 3.994, and a p-value of 0.02. Cancellation task had an f-value of 1.519 and a p-value of 0.22.
So as we discussed the results more, we were using mixed ANOVA tests for each task in terms of time, which is pre and post, and group, which is the non-gamified, gamified, and control group. And the only 2 tasks that showed a significant difference in terms of time and group interactions were the near transfer and dogs and monkeys. So in terms of the near transfer, it was both gamified and non-gamified that showed a significant increase in performance compared to the control group. And in terms of the dogs and monkeys, there were faster performance in terms of the gamified and the control group. So moving to the conclusion, based on the results that were shown, we can conclude that both gamified and non-gamified tasks can lead to an improvement on untrained tasks. But on the other hand, there were other working memory tasks that were not observed, which leads to another point where more data analysis is needed to determine if there is more significance that we can be able to prove. And this is the reference slide of the articles that we used. And thank you for watching.